Hey everyone, Stefan here from Be a Python Dev, and we're checking out HackerRank. So I just logged in with my Google account, and it gives you this cool screen where you get to pick a name. I just went with Be a Python Dev brand name and your preferred language. Obviously Python 3. I'm surprised Python 2 is even still a choice. I should figure out what PyPy is at some point in time and kind of expand my language knowledge, but we'll select Python 3, and it gives us a first challenge here. This is an introductory challenge to help you get familiar with HackerRank coding environment. Complete the function solving first to compute the sum of two integers. So it even just tells you what to do. So you get to your input, it's going to call the function, and then it prints the response. Does it need to print? Do you have to get the input like that? Is that always going to be given to us? I don't know. We'll do what they say. And we will return a plus b. All right, this is pretty easy so far. Pretty easy stuff. Hopefully this will get a little harder as we get in. I am a professional. I think I have around 6 years now, but we'll just, 5 is a cooler number. I like 5 better. All right, and here we get a practice dashboard, and then you can get some certifications. And this REST API certification actually seems kind of cool. I'll try that eventually, and I'll do that on camera and share that with everyone. Skills available for practice. I don't think there's any specific skill we want to do right now. Database is interesting. AI we'll learn at some point in time, and then regex. We're just kind of exploring the platform right now, but I think I want to go with problem solving, continue practice, just basic problem solving. It looks like there's some simple challenges in here, and it's an infinite scroll, and it actually gets harder as you go down. But we'll just do the simple array sum, calculate the sum of integers in an array. I know you can do this with the simple way. What is this? We don't want C++. Holy cow, it takes all of that just to get. So we're writing? Why are we writing? We're taking an output path. What is this actually running on? That's kind of complicated. More complicated than LeetCode at least. So yeah, we're just literally returning the values. I think there's a sum function, and I think the sum function gets all of them, but we could just do response equals 0 for n in array response. I think it's plus equals n, and then return response. So this is just a simple for loop in Python. I think you guys all know that, and then a return value, and this is a function named simple array sum. It's nice to have this small functionality in a little discrete block, so it would be testable if it was part of a bigger application. I'm still interested to know what this is doing. File pointer opens the output path with write access. So that it writes the results with a new line, and then it closes. I'm guessing that the HackerRank backend looks at this file. You would think it would just go to an API, and an API would just look at this result as like a post. That's kind of an interesting design choice, but run the code, make sure it's doing what we think it is. Yeah, all right, so congratulations, I passed the sample test case. And I can't imagine what test case I would fail for just a simple array for loop. Okay, that was right. Next challenge, compare the triplets. Alice and Bob each created one problem for HackerRank. A reviewer rates the two challenges, awarding points on a scale from 1 to 100 for 3 categories: clarity, originality, and difficulty. That's cool that they have such a interesting ranking system. Hopefully we'll get to see that a little later. The rating for Alice's challenge is the triplet A. and the rating for Bob's challenge is the triplet B. The task is to find their comparison points by comparing clarity. I'm assuming the first one is clarity, and then originality and difficulty. If A equals B, then neither person receives a point. So this is an if-else statements logic block to solve this problem, I guess. Comparison points is the total points a person earned. Determine their prospective comparison points. All right, so then they explain a little more about sample inputs and outputs. 1, 1, 2, 1. So I guess we're returning a tuple, a bituple, so a tuple of 2 values that has Alice's points and then Bob's points. So it's getting some random values. Re is the regex library, math is the math library. I guess it's just giving you that because it wants to be nice. I guess you can take some min values and compare it, and that's probably why it's giving math. I think you might be able to do min without math or math.min. I don't know, I'm not making much sense. Anyways, I can do this without the math library. Triplets. Okay, so for n in range length A. So this will give us a for loop of value 3. We could also just do 3, but for the sense of making this a little more dynamic to variable lengths of tuples, we're going to do the for n in range. We will do the compare. I guess we'll do Alice response equals 0. Bob response equals 0. And if an is greater than bn, Alice response plus equals 1. So this means her problem was better in this area. There could be some validation stuff you need to do, like if it's over 100, it's not valid. If it's less than 0, it's not valid. I'm assuming this import random will give us values that are just between 0 and 100. So I'm not going to over index on checking inputs, and we're just going to assume that HackerRank is giving us the right thing. Whereas a customer that is actually inputting values may end up putting in like strings or negative values, and that might confuse the system, especially if you're doing strings and you're trying to cast as an int. Map int input right strip and then split. I've never actually seen this map function being called like that. That's interesting. So that's not actually an array. So we'll just plus equals 1. And then elif an is less than bn. We'll do a Bob response. Plus equals 1, and then else, we don't actually need an else because nothing happens if they're equal. So the only case we're not checking is the equal case. And then the equal case is just do nothing with this. And then I think it wants, oh, it's returning an array. So we can just do return, go ahead and put these into an array. And return Alice response, return Bob response. So just a simple if elif. The reason we're not doing if else is because the else case would also include a equals b, and we don't want to do anything if a n equals bn. So that's why we're using the elif, and then we're just ignoring the last case. Congratulations, our 2 sample cases passed. Go ahead and submit this. So good introductory problem for if elif statements, and then a for n in the range, and then we talked about a little more dynamic inputs. 9 minutes and 50 seconds. I guess we can look at another problem, a very big sum. In this challenge, you are required to calculate and print the sum of the elements in an array, keeping in mind that some of those integers may be quite large. So the problem with really large numbers is Python, if you get out of different 32-bit integer ranges, then it gets kind of mad. We're not actually using C, C++, Java, and Python is nice enough to abstract all of this stuff from us in the backend, so I don't know if we need to actually do anything special aside from what we just did in the first one and add everything in the array. There's not really the concept of longs in Python, and I'm sure we're not doing typings either. So the Python 3 library gives you typings where you can actually define your outputs and inputs and then do validations against that. Maybe I'll do a tutorial on typings at some point in time. Let me know if you guys would find that useful. But I think we can, again, just do what we did before. I think there's a sum function. Let's check it real quick. Google's our friend. How to sum values in an array, or in a list in Python. Because I think there's a really easy way to do it. So yeah, just sum and then, yeah, it passes. You pass in an array to the sum function. So I think we can just do sum r, which is even simpler than iterating through every element in the array and then adding it to a response variable. So again, this is why Python is very nice and very simple, because you don't need to worry about longs, shorts, unsigned ints, signed ints, all that other fun stuff you would need in like C++ and Java to handle memory management a little more efficiently. And that's why I like trying to teach people programming in Python, because you can just deal with variables. And then as you move to another language, then you build your knowledge on top of variables to learn the different types of variable types that can represent and hold integers, such as what we just talked about. And then there's like int 8s, which is 8-bit integers, which go up to, I'm gonna sound dumb, I think it's 256. Maybe it's 128. All right, I don't know off the top of my head. I don't know my powers of 2. I think if it's a signed integer, meaning it represents negative values and positive values, then it's negative 128, positive 127. In an 8-bit. Yeah, okay, I was right. So 0 to 255 for unsigned, and then I think signed goes from negative 128 to positive 127. All right, anyways, well, we talked about signed and unsigned integers. That's always fun. And we did this return using the Python built-in function. So Python has a lot of these different built-in functions, which make things very nice. List and dictionary are also extremely useful built-in functions that just give you access to a dynamic array, which acts as a list, and then a hash table, aka a dictionary, aka a hash map, all without needing to import anything. I have different videos in my channel that talk about dictionaries and lists, so feel free to look those up if you want to learn more about the theory behind those. So we'll submit this code for just returning the sum. Thank you, Python, for making this way easier than it needed to be. And we get a star. Awesome, awesome stuff. Well, I guess that'll be it for this first video of exploring HackerRanks Python learning course, given that we're at 15 minutes. This has been kind of fun, and it's a good way to reteach myself some of the concepts of Python that I may like forget or overlook, and share it with those that are watching. So thank you. Take care. Bye.